Joining us from good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. It is the 24th day, they tell us, of November 2025. Happy to have all of y'all with us this morning. Let me come back a little bit and so full in y'all's face. Good morning, folks. How y'all doing? Good morning, Mandy and Rawl and Lorraine and who me and who you and who she and who he. Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing, folks? The folks up north, they tell us it's getting colder and colder and colder. I'm seeing some videos you guys have been putting out on your Facebook profiles. As come around and peep y'all sometimes, Beatrice. Coming and people y'all doing. Tell us if y'all are hearing us loud and clear. Dolly, Edward Brooms, Edward Gonzalez from the Bronx, we come around and we peep. What is happening hither and thither? Good morning to all of you. Is Margaret on with us? Oh, we saw Margaret shared a video of her house, and we did tell you we've been at Margaret once or twice. Once, we're inviting ourselves back, and you all should see Margaret's palatial dwelling. When we said palatial, you get a sense. You must go to Margaret page and check out her home, Margaret Nelson, just to be like the other bad a bit. Things that can't do you no good. When you go on Margaret page and you check and see how Margaret spread out, at least you could fix your lights a little better. You could straighten up your chairs a little something. Margaret throughout. When the first time I've been at Margaret, this is Somerville, North Carolina, I was in awe. Guyanese are living good in the US, living real good. Real good. Margaret and her husband, Rio Nelson, they worked hard. My God, they enjoying the fruits of the labor. They enjoying the old age. And Margaret right now, I think she's doubling as a model for Vogue, I think it is. Margaret? Good morning, folks. How is Christmas by your end? How is Christmas? I spoke with Elizabeth yesterday. She might be on the live right now. Elizabeth said, well, I ain't put away yet for Christmas. Put away. Let's fix up. Whatever it is. She said, we're looking at Thanksgiving right now. I'm now getting set for Thanksgiving. You know, Black Friday coming up. Black Friday. Yeah. We're now looking at Thanksgiving. We're getting set for Thanksgiving. Some of you like it like that. Some of you could only focus on Christmas. I know some folks right at home here. You all change for Easter and this and everything. You all happy every 3 months. You pull down, you put up color and this and tablecloth and bathroom towels to match and the kitchen blinds, and you all know how to put away. Right? Look, we got Distinguished Radical. Distinguished Radical says, I done soak my fruits for the black cake. I like people like you. I done soak my fruits for the black cake. I think it was last year, our friend from Diamond apologized profusely. She said, boy, the back had me. I think she slipped and fell. Something like that, or he was trying something new. So she said the whole back was out, but I ain't got to fix the black cake. I understand. You miss a 1 year. Nothing big about it. I miss a 1 year. Our friend from Diamond, she who shall not be named. She who shall not be named, from Diamond. But I hope you guys are going good. I saw another colleague of mine from the university. She made a post. Can't remember which part of the US she is, but she says, my first Christmas. If you see snow, that part is where she there. If you see snow, and they said, gotta go to work, gotta head out to work, You all see why I like this country? You see why I like this country? So as the rain set up, I ain't going to there. The supervisor can come through this water. She lie. So as the rain set up, snow this high. Friends, I gotta go through this here. Heading to work. Heading to work. Good morning, folks. I kind of bring you all in like because we can now hit some heavy stuff. It's that kind of Monday. It's quite a weekend. I noticed Gordon had a question this morning. As soon as I opened Facebook this morning, it's a Gordon question. What do you all think about this, uptick or spate of bullying in schools? It's bullying in schools, and also fatalities on the roads. What's happening in the hospital? I see like New Amsterdam creeping up backward. New Amsterdam, we got to put some emphasis. You see, you could got new buildings and so on, but if you got old systems, old thinking, I wonder, I don't know if it's done here. You who are in the health profession, you all can tell me. But my aunt, Herself and husband, they're practitioners in the US. My mother, who was recently retired, she would tell me, she said, ever so often, per year or per quarter or, half yearly or bi-yearly, we gotta we gotta keep up the speed with what's happening. We gotta keep sharp. We gotta keep on the cutting edge. You gotta do some refreshers course in something, midwifery, dialysis, heart surgery, whatever it is. You always gotta keep updating yourself on what is new to stay relevant. You can't fail one of them tests and keep your contract for the next 2 years. You better go and take the test and pass it. I wonder if we do that here. Or once you graduate as a nurse or as a doctor, that's it. Once you graduate, that's it. You're good for all time. You know, I hope we're not operating on 1960, you know, or the 1800s, where you didn't even, I don't know, when was anesthetics discovered? You better buy this piece of wood and bear your pain. Morphine, you better buy down on this wood. I'm grateful for the advances we've had. We see a little uptick. There's where we begin with this morning. There is where we begin because, as I said, New Amsterdam Hospital. My Lord, but what's going on there again? What's happening there again at the New Amsterdam Hospital? They're building a lot of buildings, and we've been following, for instance, what's been happening at Diamond Regional. Some almost senseless deaths we've been seeing. Senseless deaths. My grandfather, he said every time he went Georgetown, he would go for something. If he sleep away and he gets him, he feel if he had or you foot, make sure everything still is everything. What's happening? What's happening at Diamond Regional, for instance, and New Amsterdam? Being told, the young lady you see here in the graphic we have up, on November 20th, Latoya Griffith, herself and her newborn son died at the New Amsterdam Hospital. We're told that she was a high-risk patient and she was scheduled for a cesarean section, but was instead given drugs to induce labor. And her partner recounted, Helroy Williams, that he learned of the complications only when hospital staff called to request blood. All right? And he is demanding an investigation as to how his paramour and mother of his son and his son lost their lives at the New Amsterdam Hospital. What's happening? Good morning to all the hardworking staff. No doubt you got a lot of professionals working at the New Amsterdam Hospital. Something's up. Something is up, and they gotta look into that. Gotta look into that. And let justice prevail. Let justice prevail. Our thoughts and prayers with the Williams family, right? And the Griffiths. Our thoughts and prayers. They lost their 36-year-old daughter and wife and this newborn. Well, this baby. Thoughts and prayers with them. Yeah. I could imagine that's something, you get a call that let justice be done. That's all I'll say. Let justice be done. They're telling us that the matter is under investigation. The matter is under investigation. And as I said, it was quite a weekend, we coming out from, because then if you look at what transpired in Essequibo, that was Region 6, New Amsterdam. You look at what transpired in Essequibo, it was a horrific accident, horrific accident. So that young lady, Naomi Singh, who was a youth parliamentarian, she was swerving from a motorcycle when she got into an accident. Right? She swerved to avoid a motorcycle, and her car hit a light pole at Riverstone, on the Riverstone public road. That's what they're telling us, on the Riverstone public road, there in Essequibo. They're telling us as well that bystanders pulled Singh from the wreckage and took her to the Suddy Hospital, where she was pronounced dead. We're told that in that region, she was widely known for her debating skills, and she was the only child of her parents. Yeah. The bullying in school, the carnage on our roads continue. And then we have what's happening in the healthcare system on the whole, broadly, you know. And just before this horrific accident, you know, thoughts and prayers with this family too. We recognize how much time we say that in our programs. Thoughts and prayers with the family. Right? Thoughts and prayers with the Singhs. When you get that call, boy, God give us strength. God give the parents strength. 18 years old. 18 years old. Lost a life. Lost a life. You know, we gotta use the road with so much care. Right? Shock the community. And then we heard over Friday into the weekend too. Was it Friday? This horrific accident in under quarantine. Horrific accident under quarantine. We learned initially that the schoolgirl had lost her life when a bus that they were heading home from an athletic event got into an accident. Right? Got into an accident. And Jodia, I think it's Celine, lost her life at the scene of that accident. This was just a few days ago, November 22nd, on the quarantine public road. And then we launched shortly after that, right? Then the driver succumbed as well to his injuries. And the driver was a teacher as well. We're told. One Jerome Bernard. He was a teacher as well. Right? Teacher as well. And just last week, you all remember how we ended last week? We were talking about the fact that, at least in my days at school, I don't know what happens now, there was road safety as a subject. Maybe we got to go back to basics in that way. Road safety was a subject. And every week you were rostered per class or per group. You had to go and practice that. You remember putting on that little orange sash and so on, and you go and you direct traffic. You had the theory in the class, and then you had the practical on the roadways. All of those things dashed by the wayside. Right? And while the big CXCs and so on, all that is great, maybe we got to reintroduce that. And reintroduce it very early in the system, so that we have to save lives. We just keep talking. You get the government, they give the Road Safety Council $5 million a year, and that's supposed to solve all these problems that we have. That's supposed to solve all these problems. It's a bus with school kids coming from an athletic event, got into that accident. Jerome Bernard, the driver and a teacher, lost his life. Jodia Celine, 16 years old, lost her life as well. I saw my colleagues from APNU touching base with her family over the weekend, giving her condolences. And you all realize how many times you would see our colleagues like that. Right? So from Burbis now, they gotta head to Essequibo because the young lady missing lost her life. See, you know, you got such a small country, Leicester, right? Hussein Madre. Why all these accidents? Why all these accidents? Don't let me concern yourself. For a moment, who in government? Something is wrong systematically. Something in the system. For such a small population, right? Did you all do road safety at school? Primary school. We did road safety. Right? Some day per week you gotta put on your little orange thing and you gone out there and you either stand on the side of the road and watch on, right? Or you were the one on the pedestrian crossing directing, you know. Right? Primary school. Maybe they ought to come back as a subject even in secondary school as our kids are coming out of secondary school and into the working world. Maybe that should be a CXC subject. Road safety. You got all kinds of things that weren't CXC subjects in our day. All kinds of things now. You know, construction, painting, you know, cake making, all kinds. Road safety, that'd be a good one. We got to prepare these kids young because look what's happening. You know, countries, listen, we aren't exempt from this in a sense, you know. There are countries who passed this way before, who implemented systems, they learned from their experience, and they've become better. We have the money, right? We got to bring in the experts, figure out the science, and help our people not get killed on our roadways. That's what we got to do. You know, help our people not to get killed on the roadways. That's what we're following this morning. That's just the weekend. That's just the weekend we kind of recovering from. I think on the quarantine too, they in some New Amsterdam, Leisure Inn at New Amsterdam. Security found a gun in one of the washrooms. A Taurus pistol loaded with 9 rounds. In the men's washroom, one of the hotel employees found this gun and alerted the hotel authorities. The police were brought in and secured the weapon. And now they're investigating. A Taurus pistol, 9 rounds. So just in case you're missing your Taurus pistol and your 9 rounds, check the police in New Amsterdam. Check the police in New Amsterdam. Leisure Inn. Leisure Inn. People just left the gun all over, you know. Left the gun in Amelia's ward and leave the gun all over. We gotta be careful. Gotta be careful, you know. Gotta be careful. Yeah, I ain't telling you if I got a gun or not. Don't come around me funny. I ain't telling you if I got a gun, not what have you. Don't come around me funny. Don't leave your gun all over the place. Don't leave your gun all over the place. You see this cybercrime legislation, you know, then the government said they're going to repeal this. Oh, it was so bad. Apnu. It was so bad. We're going to fix it. We're still waiting. Right? We're still waiting. Now, Cheyenne Chin, she's been charged under this, what they call false terror. A false terror claim. Cheyenne Chin lives at Lusignan. And she was arrested under the Cybercrime Act, which is alleged she circulated a post falsely alleging that Minister Deodat Indar was linked to a terror attack. That's what they said. She falsely alleged that he was linked to a terror attack. You know how he thin skin already. How he thin skin. He likes to talk about people when you answer back. Emotional distress. right? But by the same token, you can't accuse people of things you have no evidence for. People say all kinds of things about me all the time and make all kinds of cast all kinds of aspersions. I would end go every day with people, I'd be a wealthy man, if I were with some people. If you were with some people, wealthy. But by the same token, you can't slander and libel people. And that is what people don't understand, the thin line you walk. People send you all kinds of conspiratorial material, And some people sometimes even call you, WhatsApp you stuff. Share this now. Me? Hear this. This right here in. Right? Sometimes when you get the bottom of it, they weren't even there, Somebody tell their neighbor. Right? And then somebody tell the person to tell the neighbor. And then somebody tell the person to tell the person who tell the neighbor. By the time you trace back, it's 610 information. Sometimes people give you some information with some veracity. Well, I shouldn't say veracity. With some emotions. Right? And then when all that emotion, when they finish talking, you said, you wonder yourself. You see this thing with your own eye? So not really it's a good friend I got. But they, we said pick up the fire rage. They pick up the fire rage. Sometimes you go on somebody who live in overseas page and, they're talking the most. Is he, I know, is he gas station? Right, but you better be ready to show me the lease, the title deed, there's something. They put it to the fire and then they rest. They're happy with it there. So I have learned to fact check. And you know what? I'll tell you this. FYI family, some folks have vexed with you. What are the opposition doing? What are the opposition doing? They ain't there with you. When is you alone marching on the court step? I know it too acutely. You ain't got a 5 cents. Forget from them. You see? But yes, Lord. We can get it right. But hear what Levigo says. Hold on. Let me follow this. Were her claims ever debunked? Right? Were her claims ever debunked? But the other side is true. Was she able to prove her claim? Right? Saying somebody owns something and make them own it. You hear me? Anybody could say, I own a Taurus and 9 rungs. Right? They ever show you a receipt where I buy a Taurus? They ever show you where you got a license for Taurus and 9 rung? People could get on social media and say anything. What is proof? Right? What is proof? Don't we say, he who asserts must prove? If you're making the assertion that somebody got behind this bombing, you got to get the proof. And if you make the assertion publicly in an issue or on an issue that can negatively impact, this is where slander and libel coming out. Right? You have lowered me in the expectation of my peers. Oh my God, he involved in terrorism. You want him to do it anymore, and so on. Right? That's where the slander and the libel come. You haven't proved nothing. You just got an assertion. And I'm almost certain, if you trace back that assertion, if somebody tells somebody something from somebody else who says something, right? And the weight of what people say in social media now, that's the force of law, It must be true. Look, 3 people say it. Right? It must be true. Right? And look what Andrew's saying too. And while I see what Andrew is saying, the other side is important as well. He who assert, remember, it's an assertion that is being made. Right? Don't ever use a minister. Let me put a name. Let me say Felix. Felix involved in this bombing. Is he owned the gas station? That is an assertion. What is my proof that Felix owned the gas station? I hear somebody say that's not proof. Where's the facts? What evidence do I have? That is where the slander and the libel come in. Because I have asserted something, I have said something. I ain't got any backings for it. You see, and that's how we gotta protect ourselves. And that's why that's the point I'm making. Right? Errol makes a point now. Look what Errol says. Errol says, right? Critics say the same thing, and he's not arrested. That's a beautiful point. And here is where we're talking about the hypocrisy. Here is where we talk about the hypocrisy. Right? He might say something about me. I might say, well, ain't no use following you up. I ain't want to waste my time. Or like some people, they follow you up, they sue you, and they get the money. How many lawsuits people follow up critics and they win? Huh? But I'm saying by the same token, if he says something and you feel aggrieved by it, you have a right to pursue. Just so in Darmos, you go and tell the police, look at this lady saying about me, and it's wrong. But that is the unevenness about the whole system. That is the point I'm making. And there is where we talk now about the 2 Guyanas. That's where we talk about. There's not only critics. How many things people do in this country on a daily basis, you see, that warrants arrest, that warrants investigation, and it never happens. You see? But that is the thing about it. Don't think that their luck is your luck. That's the problem. So, I can't go and say, why police coming after me? Yeah, so I do the same thing critics do, and how? You better watch it for yourself. You better know the terrain that this country is. We're fighting to change it. We're fighting to make the system equal for everybody. You can't get 10 laws for 10 different people. The one law all of us might be accountable for. But while we fight on that front for equality before the law, you got to know the terrain you're operating under and work to suit. Because I'll tell you, it's not necessarily fighting the system. It's how they tie up your time and your energy and your resources. For instance, watch this. None of the cybercrime charges they've brought against people in the opposition to date for the last 5 years have stuck. They didn't get one conviction. Right? They didn't get one conviction. But you know what they've been able to do? They tie up your money in bail. They tie up your time running to court. So time you could use to look after the people's interests. Right? You gotta run into court every 2 days, every 2 mornings. They got 300,000 bail in you over here. They got 400,000 bail in you over. So tie up your money that you might otherwise use for different purposes. Right? Who gives you back that time? That's the point I'm making. So even though you know that the likelihood of success, right, of their being successful in these charges they can bring against you is minimal. What they have done to you on the interim, you see, tires you out. Where you run into court. Brad and I were in a court matter, a traffic violation. that cost us, what, 2-3 years of our lives, running back and forth. That traffic matter, and we're charged also cybercrime for inciting racial hostility or something like that. And then there was the other matter pertaining to the gentleman at GCOM, right? So that is 3 court matters in 5 years, every 2 morning. And then if you don't show up in court, you have to fear now the court send an arrest warrant for you, right? Other people might not show up, and that never tracks any penalty or what have you. But remember, you know them boys. You got friends in high places. So that is the kind of unevenness that we're fighting in the application of the law. Right? But how I can go before the judge and say, look, critics slandering and libeling people every day, and then boys ain't doing nothing, so why can't do it? You see, that's not good defense. That's not good defense at all. You see, so we gotta react differently. You remember? Let me show you a case in point. You remember the Dharmlal issue in court, in Parliament, right? When I ups him, as we say locally, in the vernacular, when I ups him, you all remember that? I spent 9 months out of the National Assembly, suspended, because I refused to apologize to the Speaker. 9 months. And I didn't make the dildo comment. I didn't make the dildo comment. And the man who make the comment there in the National Assembly, earning he pay every single month. And I on the outside. 9 months without pay. You see? So we got to understand the terrain. We got to understand the terrain. You see? And only state publicly, and this goes for you too, only what you can prove. That's the point I'm making to you. Don't let anybody set you up. What you can prove, that's what you push. What you see the evidence in your own hand. You were there, you heard it, and you see it. Be careful what you say on the phone, even in private. Even in private conversations. Don't give yourself some latitude. You got to operate as if you always been filmed, you always been recorded. Because like our sister here, you see, I don't know where she heard that. Maybe innocently, and she is he. I know. And then boom, it's you alone going to court. All right, $100,000 bail, and she's ordered to surrender her passport and prohibited from posting on social media while the case is pending. You see, tie up. You might accomplish the same thing if you say it another way. You could say exactly what she wants to say and bring out what she wants to bring out, but say it another way. But that's a conversation we have to have going down. But the point I want is that the government says that they were repealing the same law they're charging this lady under. Right? They want to repeal the same law they can charge this lady under now. Right? Go figure. Go figure. So while they're yet focusing on that, you all act according to wisdom out there. I'm telling you out of my experience. When in these problems, it's you one and God sometimes. Right? The mind of the crowd is fickle, and they could imagine for likes and shares and for this and that. People say, do this and see, I get it all the time. Some people abuse you down. I send you this information. You don't share it yet. We as opposition doing this, that. You see, I learned as a student at law and as an abiding student of the law. You know, there's a Latin maxim that says, hear the other side. Don't just hear one side. Hear the other side. You see? Get the other side of the story too. Some people want you to publish something. No. But here they can tell you. Here's a common feature. Don't call my name. Don't call my name. And when you see the thing, he got slander and libel written all over it. Don't call my name. I get a lot of that. You know, I get a lot too. I watch this all the time and I smile. You got some people out there with a social media following. They have their lives like I got a life. Like this. They got a voice out there. And certain things they call me and say, put this out. I just watch them and laugh. Put this out. Put this out. Why you don't put it out? Why you don't put it out? Oh, y'all let people set y'all up. Y'all don't let people set y'all up. Please. And I'm telling you. We've been here for a little while together. Right? Don't let people set you up. I'm happy that in 6 years now, 5 years now, we out here. This is our 6th year we in. Right? There's not too much ever that we have seen published across credible sources the government has ever had to write and say slander and liable or wrong information, false information. You understand me? And anytime we put out something, I must see twice, that was ever deemed false, is because we failed to do our homework thoroughly. And I take the responsibility for that. It's because we failed to do our homework. Yeah. Oftentimes somebody might, on the weight of who's giving you the information, you say, all right, this is a trusted source. And you do your homework after that, and you end up in the slips. All right? So y'all take care out there in this wild season. All right? When them boys refuse to enact certain data legislation and collecting data for public purposes to screw elections of the future and all of that. You see, be careful out there. Be very careful. Very soon, you see this lady, what's her name? Huh? Very soon, if you give them their way, what's the young lady's name we just talked about with this cybercrime? Right? Soon as you see her name on Facebook, they'll be able to punch in the system and know your whole history. Right? Soon and very soon, if they have their way, Cheyenne Chin, that is where they're going with all this EID card and this and compelling you to have a bank account and compelling you to take the new EID card and all that. And that's where they're going. So when they see Cheyenne Chin, they say, all right, oh, look, she banking with Demar Bank. How much she got in there? Oh, she got 500,000 for that. I gotta make sure she spend on bail money. Right? Oh, look, she has records here too. She got sugar, what have you. Oh, look, whole life history right in front of them. Whole life history. That's what they're doing. Right? And then, remember, they've already, in the process of, if they haven't already, do the face recognition cameras. Right? They're punching your biometrics. They want biometrics by GCOM. They're punching your biometrics. Let me see where Cheyenne is right now so we could arrest her. Right? They're punching the thing. Okay. Look, she's crossing the pedestrian crossing here. Look, at what time is it now? Just after 10. At 10:50, look, she was heading to Lusignan Market, and you're gone in the market looking for Cheyenne. You see? That's where they're heading. That is where they're heading. And that is why they have not implemented the 2 legislations that deal with data protection. Right? But hustling for give you an ID card with biometrics and forcing you for know your bank account and this and that and so on. So in one fell swoop, they know your whole digital life. You see? Next thing, they can start monitoring your Facebook page. Oh, look at the treating here by the government. You can't get catch track. Because they could pinpoint you now. You see? When you got to go in a line, they really can make it difficult for them. But when they go into your bank account, all right, don't Don't send Shayon on yet. We see you, PPP. We see y'all. We see y'all. We know the beast you're dealing with. You see? See, individually, these things don't make sense. I mean, like, why then operationalize these two laws yet? You see? Right? They want biometric by GCOM that ensures one person, one vote. But look, they're forcing people, they're forcing workers to sign up for this EID card with a plethora of biometrics. Look, sorry over here. And then they're telling you if you get a bank account and give them the bank account information, you can get cash grant. What's happening here? I see some of the recommendations. They're pushing for workers to get this card. And this, what's the thing on the circular? Be there. Be there. The one with your account number. What's your husband name? What's your wife name? All that kind of information. Only two things missing is blood sample and stool sample. A whole set of information. We gotta be careful. We gotta be careful. So we're fighting on every front. At the end of the day, what we want is that all are equal before the law. All are equal before the law. But as we progress towards that, right, we got some bumps in the road, and you gotta be careful. You see, we gotta be careful, right? I saw Exxon denying. This got implications now. Now, this should be the story that we spend our time talking about. What's happening at Exxon and what happened with the money. This is what I want to know. What is happening with my money? You know, they're telling us in the Auditor General's report, there were 3 new oil finds that the government didn't tell us about. 3 new oil finds. That's what this headline is in relation to. That they did not tell us about. 3, right? In 2025. Right? The claim is non-commercial, right? And therefore did not require public announcement. How do we know that? You see, this is what I find. That increasingly, what the government is saying, trust us. I saw the Prime Minister make some comments in the waves yesterday. He said, we're asking for this data and issuing these ID cards. We understand the legislation has not been enacted, has not been operationalized, right? But it's still legal what we're doing. Trust us. Right? These three oil finds, there's oil there, but it's not in commercial quantity. So we don't need to announce it. 3. Trust us. Trust us. You know? Trust us. He says that Exxon files a notice of discovery every find and only publicly discloses significant discoveries that impacts resource estimates. They said the government had information, but them of themselves didn't need to make it public because it wasn't in commercial quantities. But trust us. Trust us. Right? Well, why would it be so difficult to say that? Look, we find three new wells, but nothing is inside that would make business sense for us to go after them. Right? And you ask the people who are in this sector here, they will tell you that they believe that, you know, the discoveries that we have currently are being undervalued. There's a school of thought on that too. That the current resources and discoveries we've made, you know, are vastly undervalued. Right? Now, I thought, and I don't know, Would we have spent $1 billion just saying that in public? Look, we've made 3 new discoveries, but it doesn't have quantities of oil that will make business sense for us to go after. But there's information. You see, there's information. That didn't take us long, did it? But they said, trust us. Trust us. Trust us. You know what I want us not to lose sight? Right? Let us not lose sight of the fact that the government is asking us to trust them. Exxon is asking us to trust them. But some things we see with we own eye. Right? Don't let me take a lamb stick and try to look for it nighttime. It's going to be to our own detriment. I tell you of a truth, it will be to our own detriment that we do that. The EU report on the 2025 election, it was very instructive, right? It was very instructive. And I'll tell you this, I am happy that the EU were very responsible in what they said, right? I am happy that they were very, very instructive in what they said. When you read the report, I think we're going to end the show on this note. When you read the report, you realize that the tools that the PPP has used to rig the election is not in the old way they used to do it. It's not in the old way, right? Because they learned from 2020. They learned from 2020. It's not in the old way. I'm going to take my time for a couple of minutes, but maybe we need a separate show altogether on this, to use a phrase from my colleague, Treaty Finance. Altogether, we need a separate show altogether on this, right? It's not in the old way. It's not in the old way. Right? Those of you who say the PP is stupid, you do it to your own detriment. Right? You underestimate them. I rather overestimate them and be proven wrong. Right? I rather overestimate them and be proven wrong than underestimate them. Right? Than underestimate them and they're there with them. So I'll tell you this. Remember in 2020, right? When we went in those boxes, what we saw? You saw you had votes in the box, but none of the documentations could tell us how the votes got in the box, right? And a lot of the international organizations said, it's all right, just, you got votes in the box. Not like a big fuss. You got the oaths of identity and the poll book and the proxies and the folio and to reconcile. They had votes in the box. You got ticks next to the votes. Let me go on, man. Let me go on. You see? And the PPP learned from that rigging experience. The PPP learned from that rigging experience. You see? They learn. And so, when you ask them for a recount, they say, yeah, come. Yeah, come. Look, the box them over here. That's done a red flag for you. The fact that they're so willing. Right? Oh, you want a recount? Yeah, man, come through. The box is right here. Look some election observers and so on. Look, some staff and so on. Yeah, man, you count. You count. Right? When you read, is it Robert Greene's? The 33 Strategies of War. I got the title right. Robert Greene. One of the 33 strategies is don't fight the war. Robert Greene will tell you that. 33 strategy. Is it Robert Greene? He'll help me out this morning. Don't fight the last war. Right? And when you think inside, that's the last war. Let me see when the box you're looking for folio missing, you're looking for this, you're looking for CD padded. You see, you'll be fighting the last war. What the EU report told us, right, is that while the vote wasn't rigged, in its estimation, this is the EU's estimation, while the vote was not rigged, the environment was rigged. That is what the report told us. And that is why it told us of this uneven playing field. In its estimation, when you read the report, that's what you are left with. While the vote of itself was not rigged, the environment was rigged. And if the environment was rigged, my humble deduction, that the vote was rigged. Because if the thing to get the vote where they went is a rigged process, how you can get credible elections out of that? And that says to me, the same reconciling things now that the EU said. When Nazima Raghuber asked the question, she put it pointedly because this is what we grew up on. We grew up on, you must have fair and credible elections. Those two words. Am I right, Audrey? We whole life, we grew up on fair and credible. The EU chief says elections are more complicated than that. Fair and credible. On election day, people went calmly, peacefully. GCOM did their thing as well. You see, election day was good and smooth, but that doesn't say the elections are fair and credible, right? So while the vote of itself was not rigged, what influenced people to vote a certain way? The environment was a rigged environment. So when you read the EU report, right? How was the environment rigged? The EU report talked about there was this uneven playing field. That's number one, right? This uneven playing field. Let me put on my glasses. Yeah. This uneven playing field. Y'all see me squinting, y'all can't even time put on the glasses. I bet you, y'all. It's a little dirty, but y'all love me. There was an uneven playing field. Mind you, I sat in my glasses the other day. This is my a generic reading pair. It's not tested for me. Right? It's a reading glasses. It's been tested, but it's not specific from what ailed me. So I find I have to hold my phone further away to read it, but it's on the interim. I started my glasses, I broke the handle, and I was looking for my glasses and sat in it yet again. Another story. I tell you all, I try on old lady, and I like it. I gave it back. Right? So the party created an uneven playing field. This is how the environment was rigged. Right? An uneven playing field. This is what was the primary conclusion of the EU, right? Their observation mission. The campaign environment was not equal and fair. Number one. Number two, this is the EU. This unfair, rigged environment. The party abused its incumbency advantage. This is what the EU said, you know. The party abused its incumbency advantage. The PPP benefited from power of office to tilt the playing field in its favor. So that's number two. Number three, the party misused state resources for political gains. This is the EU speaking. This is the EU speaking. Right? In that it meant that government assets, programs, visibility were leveraged for campaign advantage. Fourthly, the EU report is what we're talking about, right? The party enjoyed overwhelming state media dominance, the PPP. This is a rigged environment. So while you're looking for the ballot box, it's tough for them. Recount. Nature of the game change. And now notice where they're going with biometrics. Not at GCOM, not improved biometrics for GCOM. You see? Environment that has been rigged. So EU said the party enjoyed overwhelming state media dominance. I saw one person on social media said that, oh, y'all had the money. We were able to raise more money. No. Don't make it so simple. You had your money, and when you go to advertise with NCN, they say, no, we're not taking your money. Even some private entities, I won't call the name, put them on the spot now. Even some private entities, when you carry your ads to be aired, say, no, we aren't taking ads. We ain't taking political ads, and then you see PPP ads running whole day. So it was not a case of who could raise money. You see? But they know if they air your ads, right? The likelihood PP going back in power, they can't get no state ads on the PPP. Right? So they tell you, no, we're not airing political content. Even though you've seen whole day PP ads. So it's not a case where we couldn't raise the money. Right? We couldn't raise as much as they raised, perhaps. But we were able to raise money. So the government enjoyed overwhelming. As a matter of fact, the EU report says 98% of state media covered the government, covered the PPP, the party. 98% of state media covered the incumbent PPP during election. And I would hazard for you that 2% that went to the opposition or opposition parties or other parties running was negative. I'm willing to bet, quite like no, when the opposition is featured in state media, it's negative. It's not positive. Right? So that was number 5, the predominance or the dominance of the PPP using state media. Right? 98%. That's what the EU said in their report. 6th, we're talking about this rigged environment. The rigged environment. Right? The PPP failed to protect citizens' personal data. This is the EU. Right? This is the EU. This is the EU. This is the EU. I see Naomi got a comment. Hold on. Don't let me rush past. Let me pause for Naomi comment. I park at number 6, right? Data. Naomi says, that's the problem. We like to talk without calling names. No, that's the same problem we talked about earlier. Naomi, see if I call names now, I got to get my back-ins. I got to show you when I went and they tell me you can't advertise with we. You see, you giving me a lot of work now when the people sue me and say slandering them and libeling them. You see, I got to go back and comb through the phone records now. I got to create the minutes of when we call them and what they send, what we send, so on. You see? So it is better for me to skip. I want to die up on the hill. We got bigger fishes to fry. I know them and they know we. I know them and they know us. You see? So I want to die up on the hill. Right? In My American Journey, Colin Powell. Right? That American general, God rest the dead. Right? Colin Powell says, when you spend the life of a soldier, you know you're sending him to die. Gotta be something worthwhile. Right? Don't, Naomi say, don't let die on the hill. Right? Don't let die on the, let be a bigger hill. Don't let die on the hill. I know them and they know we. But you can send me for do a lot of things now. When they sue me and say, oh, you slander we and this and that we being discriminatory. right? You can send me to prove now. Don't we got other hills we can die on, but don't let me die on that one as yet. The hill that I'm looking at right now is the data, and EU says that we give them our data for the cash grant, and they're calling you, asking you who you're voting for. You remember when they called Garden? There's we evidence. This party we evidence. And the PPP then refuted. When confronted, now the hearsay, when confronted with the evidence, they say, yes, we call, but all the parties call. We said no. After they didn't call nobody. Right? Because you had to have had the data. It's either Digicel, Digicel or GT&T. And the only two service providers can give you the data, people phone numbers and so on. Right? Or you had some other system you scraping people's numbers. But people willingly, you see, when they entice you with 100,000, man, you give anything, blood sample, stool sample, anything for the 100,000, the 150. You can't give it fast enough to get our money. And the EU says, right? The EU says that they use that data, right? They use that data to their own political advantage. They exploited that data for there was political exploitation of voters' personal information. And I'll stop at this final observation of the EU, right? That the PPP was operating under weak, unregulated campaign finance rules. And we've said it, we're willing to participate in campaign finance reform, right? Weak, unregulated campaign finance reform rules, right? That allowed disproportionate advantage. Disproportionate advantage. Kirk says you don't have to call names, but say rhymes with. Wink, wink. I think y'all know who we're talking about already. It's not farted down on how much radios and television station we got in this country, who you would go with. If you're going to advertise, you want to look at who got the widest reach. There's only a couple. So you can deduce from that who we would go to. You can make your deductions. You know, you can make your deductions from there. So we have deduced from the EU's report, while they say the vote was not rigged, the environment was fully exploited, fully rigged. Fully rigged. Right? Fully rigged. And now we see them galvanizing their intake of data. What do you think they're doing with that? And they're saying, trust me. They're saying, trust us. Trust us. And we just see how you exploit cash grant data. We give you more data now. Bank accounts, EID card, but biometrics. Mind you, Guyanese at home and abroad, we were in the early days of this new administration. The election was only September to November, right? If any time we should be pursuing biometrics improvement and upgrades at GCOM is now, when we get time on we side. The closer you get to local government election, they say, oh, it is too short a period. But Claudette close up GCOM saying, until there's an opposition leader sworn in and he picks his new commissioners, we can't do no work at GCOM. You see that? Putting impediments in their own path. You see that? And then by time, if and when that should occur, if and when, you say, oh, it's too close to local government elections. And by the time you come out from that and the hem and ha, some more, oh, it's too close to 2030 for biometrics. But it's not close for them to take it out to get biometrics from the EID card and the bank accounts and so on. Right? And by the time they get all of that, then say, all right, well, let me operationalize the dormant legislation. Pooh. Let's operationalize it now. Imagine you create legislation, firewalls to protect against exactly what the PUP doing. And they're failing to operationalize it. And people right now from the PUP watching us, they're seeing the thing plain as day, where the environment is being rigged. And they still costing me down, you know. They're still abusing me down. We got to hold the government, we got to hold them accountable. That's number one. And especially for people who support the government, you got to hold them by a higher standard. Imagine a whole minister. You got an oil and gas sector. And the subject minister says, if we operationalize the Petroleum Commission, the oversight body, it can slow down what we're doing. It can slow down what we're doing. Perhaps that is why we didn't know that 3 discoveries were made, right? And nothing was said to the public in 2025. Perhaps that is why. Because we don't have a Petroleum Commission. Perhaps. I don't know. But nothing is done by this government without some ulterior motive. They do nothing wild and willy-nilly. Nothing is done without some ulterior motive behind it. You see? There's so much work to be done. There's so much work to be done. You know, together, let me hold them. Let me hold a foot to the fire. You know? Together we can do it. Let's leave it there, folks, until we see you guys back on our next broadcast. Let us leave it there with just over an hour and long past 10. We're going to hold them accountable, folks. That's going to do it for us at this end. That's our time, and that's our broadcast. Good to see so many of you on the broadcast this morning. Miss Moore and Wenda and Mandy and, of course, Naomi and Linda. I saw Elizabeth there, too. And I see P. Leacock is here, too. Lester William. Alexis here. Take off my glasses and I got back anymore. Nigel and Sandra and all the other folks. Thanks for joining us this morning. Share the live for us. We see we got hundreds of you on with us, but less than 100 emojis. Oh. Some of us send down can call names and y'all can't even like the program. Y'all can't even share the program. See, that's your problem. Don't come put yourself out there to be sued and slandered with slander and liable and this and that and cybercrime. You see? But we can't even like the program because we want them by see we liking it. Right? We want them by see we watch it so we can't share it. Sorry. But call names, Duncan. Call names. Yeah, trying to back me something. Yeah, trying to back me something. Let us leave it there, good folks. Have a fantastic day. We're going to see you guys on the other side.